Chronic pain is defined as pain lasting or recurring beyond 3 months, with pain itself being defined as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with, or resembling that associated with, actual or potential tissue damage. Chronic pain is thought to affect up to 20% of people in the United States. Pain's primary function is actually to protect the body from harm. For example, if you put your hand on something hot, that triggers a reflex where the hand is withdrawn away from the heat, as well as leaving an emotional experience that will deter that behaviour in the future. Pain pathways are complex, but generally initially involve detection of the painful stimuli by nociceptors, with noci meaning pain. These have free nerve endings that transduce a painful stimulus in a particular receptive field to a nerve signal. Smaller and higher density of these receptors allows for a more accurate detection of a stimulus. Nociceptors can be found in the skin, muscle, joints, bone, and organs, excluding the brain. Different types of receptor respond to different stimuli. For example, mechanical nociceptors detect skin stretch and pressure, which elicit sharp, prickling pain. Chemical nociceptors detect chemical agents, which may be external or internal, such as lactic acid, ATP, histamines, and potassium, amongst other agents that are released with tissue injury. Thermal and mechanothermal nociceptors detect thermal sensations, giving rise to slow and burning or cold and sharp pain. There are also polymodal nociceptors that detect a combination of the above. The nociceptors relay the signal via 2 main types of first-order neurons. The most common is A-delta fibers, transmitting quickly as they are myelinated and firing with a low threshold. They release glutamate and also a part of the withdrawal reflex. The other type are C fibers, mostly from polymodal receptors, which are slower as they are unmyelinated and require a higher stimulation. These result in the secondary, deep, throbbing pain and use the neurotransmitter substance P. These first-order neurons have a cell body in the dorsal root ganglion with an axon that extends onto the spinal cord and terminates in the rex laminae. From here, the first-order neurons synapse with the second-order neurons, who have cell bodies in the rex laminae of the spinal cord or the cranial nerve nuclei in the brainstem. These decussate, meaning cross to the other side, and then ascend the spinal cord in the various spinal tracts, primarily the spinothalamic tract, which goes up to the ventral posterolateral nucleus of the thalamus, where it synapses onto the third-order neuron that projects from the VPL to the primary somatosensory cortex via the internal capsule. Another example is the spinoreticular pathway, carrying mostly slow, deeper pain signals, and this tract ascends to the reticular formation, hypothalamus, amygdala, and cingulate region. Pain can be modulated at the level of the periphery, spinal cord, brainstem, or cortex, and there are 3 main types of opioid receptors part of this. They are mu, kappa, and delta, which, when stimulated, lead to reduction in neurotransmitter release and cause cell hyperpolarization, ultimately reducing cell excitability. In terms of pain, these receptors can be stimulated and block transmission of pain. They can be bound by endogenous opioids like beta-endorphins, dynorphins, and enkephalins, working mostly on mu, kappa, and delta respectively, or exogenous opioids like morphine that work on all 3. In chronic pain, however, there is thought to be alterations such as sensitization, which refers to a reduction in the threshold needed for nociceptors to be triggered by noxious stimuli. This can happen in the peripheral first-order neurons due to substance P release, or the second-order neurons in the CNS thought to occur due to increased NMDA receptors in response to persistent nociceptor activation. this can lead to an altered perception of pain, including hyperalgesia, where there is an enhanced sensation of pain at a normal threshold stimulation, and allodynia, meaning pain from a stimulus that was not typically painful. Often, this can also mean that there is no evidence of ongoing damage or injury to the tissue, but the person still perceives pain. It's important to stress that this does not mean that they are imagining the pain, it is a real experience. The pain can often lead to psychological distress and mental health struggles, such as depression. It's also known that childhood trauma increases the likelihood of developing chronic pain, and that people around the patient can reinforce behaviours that perpetuate chronic pain, which we'll touch on later. The pain may be a localised or regional pain in one part of the body, or it can be widespread. It is then divided into 5 categories based on the suspected underlying etiology. Myofascial, for example epicondylitis, musculoskeletal, such as osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and back pain, neuropathic, which mostly follows injury to nerve structures, such as post-herpetic neuralgia, post-stroke pain, and complex regional pain syndrome, and the hallmarks include allodynia, a burning character, and hyperalgesia. 4th is fibromyalgia, featuring chronic, widespread pain and tender points. And 5th is chronic headache, ranging from cluster headaches, migraine, tension headaches, to medication overuse. The International Classification of Disease, ICD-11, defines chronic pain as pain lasting or recurring beyond 3 months, and divides it into chronic primary pain, which is characterized by significant emotional distress or functional impairment, a chronic cancer-related pain, either due to the primary cancer, metastases, or the treatment of the cancer, chronic post-surgical or traumatic pain, where pain follows a surgical procedure or trauma and persists beyond the expected healing time, and is also anatomically consistent, for example at the site of the surgery or in related dermatomes. Then there is chronic secondary musculoskeletal pain, coming from bone, muscle, joints, tendons, or related soft tissues, which can be either due to inflammation or structural or neurological causes. Chronic visceral pain comes from internal organs of the head, neck, thorax, abdomen or pelvis, and does require some evidence of organ involvement or dysfunction. The 6th is chronic neuropathic pain, where there is a lesion of the somatosensory system, and 7th is chronic orofacial pain or headache, which includes all orofacial and headache disorders, and requires 15 or more days a month being affected by headaches for more than 3 months, with the pain lasting more than 2 hours daily. There is no specific test or investigation required for a diagnosis of chronic pain, though to identify the underlying cause, further testing may be required, for example rheumatoid factor and anticyclic citrullinated peptide antibodies in rheumatoid arthritis, or an X-ray demonstrating features of osteoarthritis. Treatment is mostly multidisciplinary in nature and needs to be tailored to the individual, including considering the impact on daily life, but generally involves a combination of physiotherapy, psychological therapy, patient education, and medication. Pain rehabilitation programs are useful and include a combination of the above approaches. Physiotherapy aims to reduce pain and improve physical function, and regimens need to be tailored to the individual and progress gradually with time, typically featuring low-intensity aerobic exercise. Psychological therapies include cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based therapy, and relaxation techniques, as they have been found to improve pain, physical function, and also mood. Patient education is also crucial, particularly the nature of chronic pain, such as potentially no ongoing tissue damage, and the limited role of pharmacotherapy, as often there is an expectation that a drug will resolve the pain. Linked to this is also education of people close to the patient, for example interrupting behaviours that perpetuate the chronic pain, such as constantly inquiring regarding health or insisting that they avoid any chores. The role of medication varies, so putting everything together, examples of strategies in different sorts of chronic pain can include, for myofascial pain, first-line physiotherapy, including posture training, stretching, and active range of motion exercises. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories are the preferred medication for exacerbations, with addition of paracetamol, and there may be further support from psychological or occupational therapy depending on the impact the pain is having on the person. Musculoskeletal pain generally features similar management, but depending on the underlying cause may have some more specific treatments. For example, steroid injections in osteoarthritis are more commonly used, and in rheumatoid arthritis there is generally an indication for disease-modifying rheumatic drug therapy. In neuropathic pain, again, physio and psychological therapies are beneficial in aiding impairment and mood, and medications can include gabapentinoids, tricyclic antidepressants like amitriptyline, or a serotonin and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor like duloxetine. Second-line medications can include lidocaine patches, and TENS, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, and other neurostimulation options have limited evidence but may benefit some individuals. Fibromyalgia management includes a combination of exercise, CBT, occupational therapy, and some benefit has been seen with amitriptyline and duloxetine. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and opioids are not recommended in this case. With chronic headaches, accurate diagnosis is needed to identify the headache disorder as treatment varies. Cluster headaches, for example, may benefit from acute terminating treatment like triptans or oxygen, and calcium channel blockers as prevention. In migraines, headache diaries can help detect triggers. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and paracetamol, as well as triptans, may be options for acute treatment, and preventative options can include amitriptyline, propranolol, candesartan, or topiramate. In medication overuse headache, withdrawal of the medication with support and education is required. This highlights how management needs to be tailored to the individual and how certain medications are more appropriate in different cases. One theme in chronic pain, however, is that opioids are generally best avoided, particularly considering the risks for tolerance, dependence, and overdose. If they are used, it is best to use short courses at the lowest effective dose, and not for long periods of time. In cancer-related pain, they are more frequently used, and it may be that patients on long-term opioids for non-terminal conditions may benefit from slowly reducing their doses, but caution is needed here to avoid precipitating withdrawal. Rotational polypharmacy may also be trialled, where medications with different mechanisms of action are utilised periodically.